If you don't know, you're about to know right now. You're about to learn. Education. I'm Quindell Evans. This is the BluePoetTree podcast, and welcome. Tonight, we're here, and we're gonna start off with an affirmation. You know, as a matter of fact, we're gonna start off with a little poem. I like to start off with a little poem now, and then we're gonna get into an affirmation. Then we're gonna talk about the affirmation based on my personal reflection of it. Because this is the BluePoetTree podcast. This is where we speak affirmations, we speak poetry, we express ourselves. This is where you can watch Quindell Evans grow and get to see his transformation through life as an artist, as an entrepreneur, as an inventor, I create any type of product that comes to my mind, because I like to enjoy myself and have fun. I'm an author, so if I feel like writing, I'm gonna write. If I feel like creating something to smoke, I'm gonna create something to smoke. If I feel like creating a game, if I feel like creating an educational tool, then I'm gonna do these things. I'm Quindell Evans. I'm your host of this BluePoetTree podcast, and we're about to get started. So the poem for today is, it's called 11 Story. Pretty much the first word is 11, and the last word is story. So I like to do stuff like that. I like to think of two random words and then start a poem with one word and the poem with another. So this is called 11 Stories. 11 days ago, I planned this one. Ain't nothing missing. Since the little one, I had a mission to be the biggest one, like I'm the center. I'm in the center of the world. You don't equate to me. You not straight. Everything you say is late to me. Cause I've been there, done that flow. I do the best I know how to learn some more. So I let my soul glow like coming to America. Don't come here. We do nothing on the regular. From TV, the web, the news, the fake food, real news is boring, so they telling you horror stories. Yeah. So that's 11 Story, a poem I wrote a while ago. I don't remember. I was thinking like I should have dated it, but it probably was around last year. 11 Story. So that's the poem for today. Hopefully I appreciate that. If y'all do, let me know. Give me some feedback. I appreciate it. All right, so now we're gonna get into some self-reflection on the affirmation. Affirmations is anything you speak that you want to come true. It's like a mantra, a incantation, a quote that pretty much you create, like a quote that allows you to create, a quote that allows you to affirm or speak something into existence type vibe. So affirmation can be positive or negative. So this one is a positive affirmation because I want to speak positive into existence. So the affirmation for today is, I am patient and I know that practice makes perfect. I don't take my time nor do I waste it. I make my time worth it. One more time. I am patient and I know that practice makes perfect. I don't take my time nor do I waste it. I make my time worth it. See, this one is about perfection. This affirmation is about perfection. And everybody talk about, nobody's perfect, but people say practice make perfect. There's all these types of cliche lines, So like, I feel like in this affirmation, perfect is equal to payoff. Perfect is the payoff in this case. I am patient and I know that practice makes perfect. I know that practice is gonna create a payoff. Practice is what you reap. Practice is what I don't know the term right now. Practice is what you sow. You feel me? Practice is what you sow, and perfection is what you reap. You feel me? So you practice in order to perform the best when it's game time. You feel me? So that's when it pays off, when it's game time. You know? That's when the perfection flows. That's when the perfection comes out, when it's game time. So when it comes to life, like a lot of us is in different parts of our game. You know? Some of us is in the last few minutes of the game, you know, it's crunch time and we gotta buckle down on our perfection. Some of us is you know, is practicing to get on a team. You know, like some of us is not even on the team. Some of us is not even qualified to play yet. So we are practicing to get ready for the game of life. You know? Some of us is just starting out in our game of life. You know, so we practicing to you know, to develop our talents so that we can, you know, be ready for the biggest part of our career, the biggest game of our career. You know, some of us is practicing to get into our prime, you know, so that we can allow our perfection to pay off more and more. So some of us is in different parts of our game. Some of us in different parts of our career when it comes to life. So, you know, but I feel like personally, it doesn't matter where you are, you know, when it comes to, it matters, of course it matters where you are, but when it comes to being patient, it don't matter if it's crunch time, it don't matter if it's the beginning of the game, it don't matter if it's late in the game, you know, right before halftime, it don't matter where you at in your career, it don't matter. I feel like patience is always something to hold dear, you know, always something you might want to practice at, you know, personally, you know, patience, like being patient for the result, being patient for the win, being patient in your game, you know, like being patient on the payoff, you feel me? No matter where you at in your game. So I am patient, and I know that practice makes perfect. I am patient, you know, like I am patient because personally, Quindell, it takes me being patient because I'm practicing so many things, you know, practicing so many things. It's not like one specific thing that I'm practicing. I'm practicing so many things. I have a pickup poetry, a playing card game, an educational playing card game. I'm creating a healthy cigarettes. I'm the author of the Mouth book, you know. I'm writing the drugs book right now. I'm working on the fitness, dropping Give Me Fitness game, the BluePoetTree handbook. I'm working on so many things, you know, so I'm planting so many seeds, you know, like I'm practicing in so many areas, you know, so for me it's like, it's just, there's no, for me there's no like option but for me to be patient. Like there's no option. My only option is to be patient and continue practicing at all these things because I love doing all of them, and be patient on the payoff. Be patient on any or all of them coming through in a way that it needs be, whenever it fit, whenever, you know, like sometimes the biggest shot of, you know, the biggest shot you take in your career is not the game winner, you know? I feel like sometimes the biggest shots we take are in practice, you know? It's like the biggest shots we take are when nobody's around, when the game is on the line personally, you know? So like, I don't, you know, like, maybe Maybe that's a little too deep right now, but it's not. I don't feel like it is. I feel like sometimes the biggest shots of our career are the ones we take in practice, the one we take when nobody's watching, because that's what determines how effective we are when the lights is on, that determines how effective we are when it's really game time. So like right now I'm practicing so many things in my personal time, so what people don't see. So when it's time to display these things, when the game is on, it's time to display what I've been practicing. I want to be on point, and I know that it takes patience for me to see everything I'm practicing come to fruition. I started pickup poetry. I started developing the pickup poetry playing card game last March. Last March I thought of it. And then I was playing it on index cards, writing them joints down, playing, like I made a card game on index cards because I didn't have, no means of playing the card game in any other way. And I think it was August when I actually started developing it, designing it, game, going to print shops to figure out who's gonna print the card game and stuff like that. And recently, like I'm waiting on it's December 28th. I'm waiting for December 31st for the pickup poetry playing card game to actually come in boxes with a barcode on it and everything. So like it took over a year for me to see this coming to fruition in this way. So it takes patience, like it definitely takes patience, and I'm also working on other things, like I'm working on so many other things and I want to see so many other things develop, so like it definitely takes patience, and I want to develop the other games I have too, because in all actuality, like I don't, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if people know, but like I was selling the pickup poetry playing card games. I printed 200 decks from Staples. Playing card game from Staples. I printed the joints on business cards. So if you play the game, the cards are very small, And the first time I printed it horizontal. So you're holding it sideways. And I printed 200 decks of those. I sold them joints, got them all off for $10 a piece, and I put the business card deck inside of a little plastic Ziploc bag to sell them. Like there's no packaging, because there's no shame in my game. But the whole point is I have to be patient. I had to be patient in order for to even deal with that, to like this is what I practiced on my personal time, and this is my game right now. This is what I have right now. These are the shots I'm taking, and this is how it's coming out. It's coming out in business cards inside Ziploc bags for $10, and it's a card game. That's how it had to come out. And right now, I'm waiting for the decks to come, the shipment. I ordered 1,000 decks of pickup poetry, actual playing cards in the actual box, so it took time. So I was definitely patient, definitely patient, because I have no option if I want to actually see things grow. Especially the fact that I'm working on so many things, I have no option but to be patient. So like, I am patient. I know that practice makes perfect. I know like something's gonna pay off, And I don't take my time, nor do I waste it. I make my time worth it. Like, I'm not moving slow on purpose. Like, I'm not just taking my time. I'm definitely being strategic and planning, but I move with a sense of urgency. You feel me? Like I maneuver with a sense of urgency because I always feel like everything is temporary. So like, I do it while I think it. I do it while it's on my mind. Time is of the essence because when it comes to inspiration, when it comes to ideas, when it comes to being creative and doing what I feel like the things that I'm inspired to do today, in a week, I might be like, it's not as enticing to me anymore. So if I do it immediately while I think it, then once it started, it's on the roll, and whether I become uninspired along the way, that at least I did it. I'd rather say I did it than I thought it and didn't do it. Simple as that. So I move with urgency. I don't waste time. I don't waste it, and I don't take time. I'm not like taking, because if I take my time on something I think, an idea, and be like, I'll do that later, then it may never get done. For one, because I might not feel inspired to do it, or two, it may never get done because I may never get around to it because I put it off. I put it off, and that's a habit. So if I get into the habit of saying I'll do it when I get to it, then 2 weeks later I say the same thing. Then a month later I say the same thing. So I may never get to it because I get into the habit of procrastinating on it. So just move with a sense of urgency on my ideas is important to me because like ideas could come and go. I like to write ideas down when they come to me, and I like to do it immediately. Because you never know when I'm not gonna feel like doing it. You never know when I'm gonna get into the habit of not feel like doing it. Part two, and you never know what's gonna happen that when I'm busy or when I'm caught up in other things and I just don't have the time anymore. But if I have the time and the energy, the thought, then get to it now. So I move with a sense of urgency when it comes to all these things. Like a year and a half on Pick Up Poetry is fast to me. Like I felt like this is quick. Like that was just last year. It took time. It was a long year and a half, and I printed one out horizontal, printed the next one out vertical was much better. It's still on business cards, and then we found the supplier in China and stuff like that. So it was just like it took time. So, but at the same time, it feels like I'm moving with a sense of urgency because if I would have took my time and if I would have been like, I'll do it when I get to it, probably have been 2-3 years later, when I got it done. So it's like, I feel like this is, I feel like just the process of creating pickup poetry is uplifting to me as a person, like as a man. It allows me, as a being, as a human, it allows me to see how I can get things done. Like, getting projects done makes me feel like I can accomplish things, even though it could be small, but it creates a big payoff mentally. It creates a big payoff emotionally. So like sometimes the payoff is personal upliftment, like just personal inspiration, personal motivation, personal determination. It's not always money, So right now I'm hosting like a weekly open mic, and I've been hosting this open mic for 2 years, and how I started to host this open mic because I was practicing my poetry, my craft, everywhere in New York City, even in other states. I was trying to travel to DC, and I didn't travel to Boston just for open mics, Philly just for open mics, literally. Just travel, you know what I'm saying, like upstate just for open mic, literally. Plenty times, plenty different places, just for open mic, just to showcase my talent, plenty times. And that was practice, and then it paid off. Like now, people come to my open mic, and I get to host open mic, you know. And it happened because literally me being out everywhere, I ran into someone at one of their spots, and they was like, "Yeah, when I upgrade my spot, I want you to be a host. I want you to host the open mic." And had I not been practicing my craft, I wouldn't have got that payoff. I wouldn't have got that opportunity. So just being out there, you know, practicing your craft could get you opportunities. A lot of us are talented at so many different things, and you just put yourself out there. I don't know, you could be a game designer, you could be an app designer, you could be a comic, you could be a gymnast, you could be whatever, a comedian, you could be, you know, a designer, whatever, a model, a beautician, whatever you are, putting yourself out there, practicing that, putting yourself out there can pay off immediately, especially in this social media day and age. You know, people can go viral overnight. Like, stuff like that can happen. But just putting yourself out there, period, can get you opportunities, you know. Like, just me singing on the train, I get opportunities all the time. Like, people hit me up for this, for that. And it's just, I'm not expecting every time I go on the train to meet someone and they're going to be like, "Hey, come out here, I got a gig for you." But regardless, just connections happen when you put yourself out there. And also, inner connections happen when you are disciplined at doing anything. So, like, as much as practice makes perfect is about doing something to get something, it applies also to just doing something to feel something, you know, to feel that it's something that you need to continue to always want to do something, you feel me? I also know this guy, this OG by the name of Curtis Harris, who's the creator and CEO of Green Earth Poets Cafe, and I'm teaching the work. I taught a workshop like for the past 3 months, once a month for the past 3 months, monthly workshop at Brownsville Harris's house, and it's like a youth workshop. Some adults come out. It's cool. I get to teach what I want, and I appreciate those opportunities. I've been working with Curtis Harris and Green Earth Poets Cafe since 2014, and same thing applies. Practice makes payoff. You just gotta be patient. Same thing applies. When I met Curtis Harris in Brownsville Harris's house, I was living in my mom's crib in Brownsville at the time, and immediately when I went to an event at the Brownsville Harris's house that he was throwing, an open mic, around the time I was going hard to every open mic, you know, I said, like, "Yo, you do anything in Brownsville, I'm coming to it." Like, it's just that simple. Like, it's my hood. You throw any event here, expect to see me. Like, I'm your number one supporter. And I didn't, you know, like, it's affirmations. You know, I might have been saying that out of ego or whatever at the time, but I lived that. Anything that he threw, period, I was at after that. It didn't even have to be in Brownsville. I just literally I fell in love with Green Earth Poets Cafe because of the things they were doing. Went to Rikers Island and taught poetry, that was cool. Doing workshops at the Harris's house because of that. And a lot of opportunities came. At first, I was doing things for free. Like, I just was popping up. He didn't want me to teach. I teach for free. He wanted me to perform, host. I do anything for free. And after a while, I saw Green Earth Poets Cafe grow and start getting grant money and all of these stuff like that. And then everything I was doing for free, Curtis Howard began to pay me. And that's because I was practicing at doing things for free, you know, just giving myself to Green Earth Poets Cafe. And it paid off eventually. And, you know, that's because I was and I wasn't doing it necessarily for the money. I was doing it for the love. Like I was doing it because I really enjoyed it, and money came. And of course, it came at the perfect times too, because this was around times I just stopped working corporate job and began to do freelance, artistry. And now in those times where he, all the time I was doing things for free began to pay off, and he started paying me to do the same things I was doing for free. It was around times that I needed it, around times where like it was really hard for me. So I definitely appreciate, Curtis Harris, appreciate Miss Sharon Kennedy, who allowed me to host the weekly open mics at her cafe, Word Up Cafe, because it creates opportunities for me. Host open mic weekly allows me to showcase my talent on a weekly basis. And that keeps me disciplined at showcasing my talent. Curtis Harris allowing me to teach poetry workshops keeps me disciplined at that too. I love teaching poetry workshops. Like that was the reason I created Pick Up Poetry. The playing card game was because I was teaching poetry workshops, and I kind of felt like, it could be boring sometimes, just, I'm able to allow people to have fun and enjoy themselves, sing-alongs and all different types of writing activities and group activities. We can have a good time. But I like to take things to another level, so I created a board game, poetry board game. Working on that too. And that was a way for us to have fun and learn poetry at the same exact time. It actually teaches you poetry way more efficient than the card game. The card game is like anybody could play type of game. That's why I created the card game. I wanted something that was universal. The poetry card game is kind of really the poetry board game is kind of really testing your knowledge. So it was like, playing a game at the workshop sometimes. People don't win, they become sore losers, so they're like, I don't want to play that game because I don't feel like losing. But the card game is like anybody could win, so people know that, so they want to play because they know that the chances to win are very high compared to the board game. If you don't know, you might lose. And if you play the game 5 times, you should kind of know, you should kind of be remembering like, okay, I know what a metaphor, simile, hyperbole, a rhyme, alliteration. I know these things now. So that's the reason I created the card game, because of poetry workshops. And Curtis Harris really allowed me to continue to do that. It's amazing, and now I get to play the card game at the workshops. Soon I'll be playing the actual card games, not the business card games. Soon I'll be playing the actual board game and not the paper board game, So like, I really enjoy growing. I really enjoy being creative. I really enjoy doing the things that come to my mind. And I know it takes patience, for everything to come to fruition and everything to grow and all my projects to become, more, concrete, to become more developed, for my projects to develop as I develop. And I don't try to rush things, I don't try to rush the result. I'm just disciplining myself and getting used to the process, throwing myself out there, and doing the things that come to my mind and moving with urgency, I don't take my time, but I maneuver with urgency. I make sure I get things done, because you never know what could happen, today to tomorrow. So it's just like, I want to leave everything on the table today. Like, I want to leave it all out there, So with that being said, like, I am patient, and I know that practice makes perfect. I don't take my time, nor do I waste it. I make my time worth it. It's definitely worth it when you're feeling good. It's definitely worth it when you're feeling good after doing what you love to do. It's definitely worth it when you're getting paid for doing what you love to do. It's definitely worth it, So it took a lot of time for me to get here, for me to even have products, for even me to be able to develop these products, for even being able to have the faith in my craft and knowing that like, whatever I want to create, I can create, and also having faith in myself, and believing in myself personally, it took time. You know, it takes time to believe in yourself. It takes, I know, just personally, I don't know, but me personally, it took time for me to have this faith in myself. Have this confidence of what I can do. And it took doing so many things to realize that I can do so many things. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Blue Poetry Podcast. If you don't know, you're about to know right now. You're about to learn. Education. Be patient, but also move with a sense of urgency. Don't rush the result. Don't rush the process. But know that there will be results. And know that the process can be a result in itself. BluePoetTree.com and Quindell Evans. If you don't know, you're about to know right now. You're about to learn. Let's go.